Welcome into the Commanders Report live show. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. We'll be joined here by producer Jeffrey Cooperstein here in just a second. I know we're going live on kind of a different day than normal. We usually go live on Wednesdays, guys, but because of my scheduling this week, it made more sense for us to go live here on Tuesday. But for all the real ones that are here with us here on kind of a funky live show kind of day, we do have a bunch of great Commanders content for you guys. We got 3 segments all lined up for you. The latest news and rumors surrounding the Washington Commanders. We got a lot to talk about in our first segment, so we'll get to that. Then we'll get into my Week 16 preview versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to tell you exactly what the Commanders need to do on Sunday to beat the Eagles and really solidify this team as a threat in the NFC playoff picture. And then we'll finish up today's show with our annual and weekly Commanders Report live Q&A, where I answer your questions on the Washington Commanders. Coop, how we doing today? Joey Peterson not available, so Coop stepping in.
Yes, sir.
Coop, how we doing this afternoon?
I am well. An annual mailbag, you say?
Weekly mailbag.
Weekly mailbag.
We
love the mailbags.
The annual weekly mailbags. If you guys want to get a question on the show, all you guys got to do is, the real ones know, all you have to do is put hashtag Commanders down there in the comment section. And then if you want to guarantee your spot on the mailbag today, you guys can send in a super chat.
Yes, indeed.
And we actually have a special super chat promotion today, Mr. Coop, where if you guys send in a $10 super chat or a $10 Venmo, Cashapp, whatever, we're going to find out whether you are on the naughty or nice list, all right? So $10 donations will spin the wheel where we've got half of the slots as naughty, half of the slots as nice, and if you land on the nice list, you're going to get a free raffle entry or an additional raffle entry for the Jaden Daniels jersey raffle that we're going to have on our watch party this weekend on the Commanders versus Eagles watch party on Sunday afternoon. So if you want to get in early on the action here and you want that additional raffle entry and kind of stack the deck in your favor to get a brand new Jaden Daniels jersey, if you get on the nice list today, you guys can get that raffle entry in early.
Needless to say, is this the biggest game of the season for the Commanders?
This is a big one for sure because I think this is maybe the last true playoff test for the Commanders. You know, you lost to the Eagles earlier in the year, but it was on a short week, and you were just coming off a game against the physical Steelers team, and you could just tell that Saquon Barkley was going to take over in the fourth quarter because the Commanders were just gassed in that game. Now you get a full week of preparation, and I really hope that they come out at Northwest Stadium and really give the Eagles a fight. We're going to be going live for that football game this weekend, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern time, guys. We're going to start with an hour-long pregame show, followed by live play-by-play and instant reaction during the game, and then we'll have our extensive post-game coverage after the game as well. Hopefully the Commanders can get a big-time victory, and really a lot of people are talking about the Eagles as the best team in football right now, and if they beat the Commanders on Sunday, they lock up the NFC East Championship, so hopefully the Commanders can get the win and prevent that from happening. If you guys want to send in a super chat today, and honestly, if you guys put in $50 in total donations today, you will join Hog Mafia. This is our super chat club here at the Commanders Report, and these are the people that have put in $50 or more on a singular show. You get a shout out on every single show, and you get that Hog Mafia sticker next to your name on every single super chat for life. So shout out to IQ Barbecue, Marco Gorman, Omar's Burner, Lord Buddy Bear, Luke O'Gorman, TJ, Commando Mike, James Howard, Russell Hance, Jerry Gettings. You guys are the real ones, and I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Also, Jimmy R., Luis, John Masood, and we have Jerry Gettings on there twice. F. Joey in the chat.
Jerry deserves it twice.
Jerry deserves it twice. We all know Jerry deserves it, man. All right, so we got 90 people watching right now. People are starting to file in here on a Wednesday, and we're going to be getting into this Commanders content here in just a second. I want to give a shout out here quickly to all the people in the chat. We've got Go Merc, we got JG, we got MG, we got Rodney Sharp, we got Kenny Lewis, we got Nielsen Dillard, we've got Jasmine Gray, we got Brother Get Me, we got Richard Barker, Jasmine Gray, how do you say this one? Jace Bell? I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Jace Bell, Wesley. And right now in our live poll, Coop, we got, who do you got this week, Commanders or Eagles? 90% of our audience thinks the Commanders are going to pull off the upset today. I'm going to be giving my score prediction for Commanders versus Eagles later in today's show, so you guys will see who I think is going to win this week on Sunday. But before we get into the content today, guys, I have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is focused on togetherness this football season and this holiday season as well. And that means when you bring people together at live events, plain and simply, guys. And the experience is just so much better when you go with other people to a live event. And, you know, it's also a perfect holiday gift to get yourself or get somebody in your life a ticket to an event that they want to go see, whether that be a sporting event, whether that be a music event, a concert, or like a comedy show. If you got an event that you want to go to or you know that somebody in your life wants to go to, this is the perfect last-minute gift for you or someone that you know this holiday season. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks on their app, which makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do, guys, is select the Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen, and Game Time automatically filters through their entire database of tickets for that event to find you the best tickets at the best prices with the best views so that you and your family can get the best deals on the tickets that you get for the events you want to go see. So what I love about the Game Time app and why it's the only ticketing app I have on my phone right now is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Your first purchase, terms do apply. It's just for that first purchase, guys. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So now, if you want to shout out in the chat, type those me's if you've already liked the stream. Our goal today is to get to 100 likes on the stream. We got about 90 people watching, and we're already up to 20 likes. We need to get to 30 likes here, guys, before we get into that first segment of the day. So I want to give some shout outs here to all the people that have liked today's show. Shout out to Jasmine Gray. Jasmine is always here supporting the Commanders. We got John Askew in here. We've got
related to Luke?
Related to Luke Askew? I mean, the Commanders version of Luke Askew. We've got Eli Hokies fan. We've got MG. We've got Jamie. We've got Black King. We've got Waverly Block Bullies. We've got Raise Hale. We've got 9 Lives. JG. Ghostmerk. Rodney Sharp, Kenny Lewis. We got a good crew of Commanders fans here ready to talk some Commanders football here on a Tuesday afternoon. First segment today, guys, the latest news and rumors surrounding the Washington Commanders. Then we'll get into my preview for Week 16 versus the Philadelphia Eagles as the Commanders look to really solidify themselves as a legit contender in the NFC playoff picture here. And then we'll also take questions at the end of today's show in our final segment for the weekly Commanders Report live Q&A. The real ones know if you want to get on the show today and you want to get a question in the mailbag, all you have to do is go hashtag Commanders down there in the live chat. For example, you put a comment down there, hashtag Commanders, will Jaden Daniels win Offensive Rookie of the Year? And
like 9 Lives did in the chat.
Like 9 Lives did in the chat. Shout out 9 Lives. And Kenny Lewis put in a hashtag Commanders as well. So if you want to get on the show today, hashtag Commanders. And then if you want to see if you're on the naughty or nice list, send in a $10 super chat today. And you know what? I'm actually going to go half price here. So for the first segment here, if you put in a $5 super chat during our first segment today, we'll give you that naughty or nice spin once we have our first break here. So without further ado, let's get into our first segment of the day, the latest news and rumors surrounding the Washington Commanders. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today we got a bunch of Commanders news and rumors to cover on today's program. First up, we're going to be talking about a little bit about the free agency targets that are popping up on Commanders Twitter right now. There's 2 last-minute free agency targets that Washington could pursue before the end of the season. That'll be first up. Then we'll get into a top wide receiver draft prospect that has been linked to the Washington Commanders as an ideal fit. Tell you who that is here in just a second as well. And then make sure you stick around for Week 16 playoff clinching scenarios for your Washington Commanders if they win or tie versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now predict it for me before we get into the content today, guys. Will Washington clinch a playoff berth this weekend. All right, will they beat or tie the Philadelphia Eagles, and will the other things need to happen? Give me a yes or a no. Will Washington clinch a playoff spot this weekend in Week 16? Now, we might be in the middle of Week 16 here in the National Football League, but we did get news today that in Week 17, so that's next week, Washington will be playing on Sunday Night Football prime time versus the Atlanta Falcons. That game got flexed into the SNF period there. Atlanta might be playing Michael Penix Jr. at that point, with Kirk Cousins not playing very well. And, of course, Atlanta is also in the playoff race here. So Washington will be playing on Sunday Night Football, and it could be a matchup between two rookie quarterbacks, so stay tuned for that. So now let's get into the free agency targets here that I alluded to at the beginning of the show, because there's two relatively big names that have hit the open market in recent days. The first one that we'll talk about on today's show is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the former first-round pick running back out of LSU. If you'll remember, he played with the Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase LSU team. That was so freaking dynamic. He ends up going in the first round to Kansas City, and he just hasn't lived up to his draft selection. They ended up releasing him. Has not played a snap of NFL football in the regular season this year. He is still only 25 years old, so he is somebody that still brings a little bit of youth to the table. He's super small, man, 5'7", but he's got a little bit of girth to him. Pause at 207 pounds. Then we get to, the fact that the Commanders have Austin Eckler out with that really nasty concussion. If they feel like they need to add another running back to the room, along with Chris Rodriguez Jr. and Jeremy McNichols, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is kind of somebody that was highly regarded coming out of college and could still be very highly regarded with the Commanders coaching staff. So keep your eye on him. Take a look at his career numbers here for CEH. You got 48 games played total, his yards per game total, so that is his rushing and receiving production per game is 54.3. He's got 19 touchdowns in his career to just 2 fumbles, so he does secure the football pretty well, but he has not played this year for Kansas City, even with Isaiah Pacheco having the injury troubles that he has had, and Clyde has had his injury issues as well. So listen, man, because I think CEH is just not a very valuable player, I think that Chris Rodriguez Jr. can provide more value as this team's number 2 running back while Austin Eckler is out with that concussion. Chris has had some very good games this year, most notably against the New York Giants earlier in the year when he completely dominated that football game. They had a really good game against the Tennessee Titans a couple of weeks ago as well. You look at Chris's production this year, he's had 27 total carries for 152 total yards on the ground, has a touchdown. So this is somebody that I think should be getting a little bit more production, a little bit more carries. Last week, he only had, I believe, 1 carry to Brian Robinson Jr.'s 21. I think that kind of showed last week, that you have to really look to spread the ball around in the run game a little bit. Wasn't too productive last week when Brian Robinson was the workhorse. I think this week I'd like to see Cliff Kingsbury work in Chris Rodriguez Jr. a bit more. The second potential free agency target here is Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Washington fans are very familiar with OBJ because he used to be a superstar for the New York Football Giants. He just ended his stint with the Miami Dolphins, which didn't go too well. OBJ is 32 years old. Man, time really flies, man, but he's 5'11", 200 pounds, so he's kind of a mid-level, or mid-sized receiver, so to speak. He's had a number of major lower body injuries. He had that ACL tear in the Super Bowl, actually, in the 2021 season when the Rams beat the Bengals at SoFi Stadium, if you'll remember that. And he just wasn't very productive this year with the Dolphins. He was semi-productive as a rotational receiver for the Baltimore Ravens back in 2023, but this year was not a good year for OBJ. Once again, dealing with injuries at the earlier part of the year. And when it comes to bringing in OBJ, he's a former superstar that's really regressed. He's more of a rotational piece now. But are we sure that KJ Osborne is any better than OBJ at this point in his career? Honestly, I don't think either of these guys necessarily moves the needle. I know KJ is trying to get up to speed ever since he signed with the Washington Commanders, or the Commanders claimed him off of waivers last week. So it'll be interesting to see if we see KJ on the field here. But my take on Odell Beckham Jr. here is he doesn't really move the needle for the Washington Commanders if they do bring him in. But at this point, man, with Noah Brown dealing with a kidney issue right now after his rib injury, and you're looking for kind of that mainstay wide receiver too as this team looks ahead towards the postseason, I guess you can continue to take some throws at the dartboard here. And if Odell wants to come play for the Washington Commanders and kind of compete with Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, and of course KJ Osborne, I wouldn't necessarily say don't do it. But pick a wide receiver for me. Who's the better receiver right now? Type KJO if you think it's KJ Osborne, or type OBJ if you think it's Odell Beckham Jr. In just a second here, I'll be letting you guys know what's still to come in today's video. While I'm telling you about that, make sure you guys go down there and let me know which receiver is the better player. So still to come here on the Commanders Report, we got that top wide receiver prospect that has been linked to the Commanders as an ideal fit for next spring. And then also I got my Week 16 clinching scenarios for Washington. What needs to happen for Washington to secure their spot in the NFL playoffs in 2024 this week? Now, before we get into those, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is focused on togetherness this holiday season. And what that means is when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. Plus, if you are somebody that hasn't gotten a gift for somebody in your life that you want to get a Christmas present for, Game Time is perfect for you because you can get that last-minute gift, which is really, really cool. Tickets to a live event, especially a Commanders game. If you got a Commanders fan in your life, that would be make you the life of the party for sure and really make somebody's holiday. So Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All it takes, guys, is one click of the button, the Game Time Picks button in the event you want to go see, for Game Time to filter through their entire database of tickets to find you the best tickets with the best prices, with the best seats, so that you and your family can get the best deals on any ticket you get to any event. And what I love about the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event you go see. So whether it's a Commanders game at Northwest Stadium, or whether you go to a comedy show or a music festival, doesn't matter. If you get tickets on the Game Time app, it's the lowest price guarantee. You also get all-in pricing right on the app, right up front, so you don't have to get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout. And you can also get flash deals, so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports. It's one word, all caps, ChatSports, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, guys. Again, create an account and redeem code ChatSports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So Luther Burden III is a highly touted receiver prospect out of Missouri that has been linked to the Washington Commanders as a potential ideal fit by Bleacher Report. This is what the author of this particular article, Brent Soblensky, had to say about Luther Burden to the Commanders. As a true sophomore, Burden was one of college football's top performers, period. Even when Missouri hosted the LSU Tigers, the former's top target was arguably the game's best player, even with two future first-round wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. on the field. Burden caught 86 passes for 1,212 yards during the campaign, which placed him into the top 5 prospect conversation entering the season. Yet the wide receiver barely eclipsed half of the yardage and simply disappeared in certain contests. Not everything falls on Burden, of course, but the NFL will want the previous version. So listen, man, I would go absolutely nuts if the Washington Commanders compare Luther Burden and his dynamic skill set with Terry McLaurin at his age, still playing very good football. In my opinion, should be an all-pro caliber receiver this year and make an AP all-pro team, whether that's first or second team. If you combine those two along with the talents of Jaden Daniels, this is going to be an offense that takes it to a whole nother level in Jaden Daniels' sophomore season and in the second year of the Dan Quinn era here in Washington. And, you know, I think that Burden's probably going to be a top 15 pick, honestly. I think when they look at his skill set, when he jumps out of the gym at the combine this year, you know, it's just not going to be something where he's going to go past pick number 20, all right? I think that he's just so much of a dynamic talent. He was on the same field as Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., two very highly touted receivers in last year's draft class. And like Soblensky said in his article, he was arguably the best player on the field that day, all right? And that he was just a sophomore at that point. So I don't think he's going to end up going to Washington because I don't think Washington is going to have a high enough draft pick to get him. But man, if he falls to the Washington Commanders, wherever they end up drafting, and wherever they end up in the draft order this year, or if the Commanders trade up for him, I would go absolutely nuts because I do think that he would be one hell of a player in burgundy and gold. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. What is the biggest position of need in the 2025 NFL Draft for your Washington Commanders? Is it offensive line? Is it getting another big-time receiver to pair with Scary Terry? Is it tight end again? Is it going to be corner? Is it something else? Let me know down there in the comments section what's the biggest position need for this football team in 2025 come draft season. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got daily Commanders videos for you guys for free, daily and informative videos, breaking news coverage this offseason whenever Adam Peters makes a big move, and we also go live for every single, or just about every single Commanders game this year. We will be going live for hopefully some postseason games as well, so make sure you join the over 24,000 people that have already clicked that subscribe button. We are currently the fastest growing Commanders channel anywhere on YouTube, so thank you guys for all of your support. And without further ado, click that subscribe button right now. Now, before I go here, I did promise you guys some clinching scenarios for the postseason for Washington, because if things go the right way for this football team this week, they could lock up their spot in the postseason this week. So if they win versus Philly, obviously that's going to be making things a bit easier. All they need is for the Falcons to lose or tie versus the Giants, and then they need either Seattle to lose or tie versus Minnesota, or the Rams to lose or tie versus New York. So the one that you need for sure is Atlanta to lose or tie, but then if that happens, all you need is either one of Seattle or Los Angeles to lose this weekend to lock up Washington's spot in the 2024 playoffs. Now, if the Commanders tie versus the Philadelphia Eagles, things get a bit more hairy, where you need Atlanta and Seattle to lose, and you need Arizona and Los Angeles to lose or tie. So you need all those things to happen exactly the right way. And then, of course, if the Commanders lose against the Eagles this weekend, they have no chance of clinching a playoff berth this week. But like I said, guys, and like I've said on this show, still got 3 weeks to go. It's not necessarily the end of the world if the Commanders don't clinch their spot this week, but it is possible. So before I say goodbye for the day, make sure you guys go down there in the comments section and spam real one if you made it to the end of today's show. It really does help out the YouTube algorithm when you make it to the end of our shows, because it tells the YouTube algorithm that people are staying to the end. So if you're a real one, make sure you get those comments down there so we know who you are. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we got in-depth informative Commanders coverage every single day for free here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you click that subscribe button and join our family. Okay, Coop. So first segment in the books. We do have the mailbag coming up here soon.
Yes, indeed.
So if you guys want to get a question on the show, you guys can use hashtag Commanders, or you can super chat to get on today's Q&A. Speaking of super chats, we got a $5 super chat from my man Ted Lucas, and he says, I believe the Commanders will win. These are the type of games that we have won in the past when no one gives us a chance. I certainly hope so, Ted, and I do think this is going to be a fight. I don't think this is going to be a blowout either way. I think that, with it being in Landover, with it being that, the Commanders are not coming off a game where they just played the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Eagles are coming off a game where they played a physical Steelers team. So the tables have been turned in that regard. And then it's not a short week. All right. So the stamina and, the energy portion from the Commanders defense is not going to play as big of a factor as it did on that Thursday night football game back in Week 11. So I do think the Commanders, especially now with Marshawn Lattimore in the fold to guard A.J. Brown, I think the Commanders actually have a decent chance of winning this football game this week, and I appreciate you putting in your $5 super chat. And I did say naughty or nice wheel, half off for that first segment there, Coop. You know what? I'm going to go half off for the rest of the show, too. $5 naughty or nice list. If you get on the nice list, you get a free raffle entry for the Jaden Daniels jersey raffle on Sunday's watch party. So without further ado, let's see if Ted is naughty or nice. Coop's got the wheel here.
Ted?
Godspeed
to you.
Godspeed, Mr. You got naughty 3-2-1 in there. What does that mean? You see what I'm saying? Naughty 3-2-1. Is it going to go on it? No, it's right down the middle, man. Right down the fairway.
Go.
It looks like, Ted, you've been nice this year, man, so you get that free raffle entry.
I don't see what you're saying.
Look above. So look at the one above the nice where it's curly on. It says naughty 3-2-1 on there.
It was probably because I was trying to set the previews on the other thing.
There we go. We got it fixed there.
Now we're good, but Ted!
So, Ted, you are in the raffle for the Jaden Daniels jersey raffle on Sunday. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Anybody else that puts in a $5 today, we'll make sure to spin that wheel for you and for your chance to get into the raffle on Sunday. Okay, so our next segment, my preview for Week 16. Everything you need to know about Philly versus Washington heading into this week. I've got keys to victory. I've got team trends. I've got my official score prediction. I'm going to tell you exactly how the Commanders' defense can corral Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and this Eagles offense here on Sunday. So without further ado here, guys, keep getting in those $5 super chats. I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Coop needs a second here. So I'll give some shout-outs here while he gets us ready. We got Jasmine Gray in here. We got JG. We've got Eli Hokies fan. We got Mario and Carly S. We got Ted Lucas, HBO Barnes. We got Sensei Wise, Jamel Hardy. And he says, we need a stronger defensive line. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls not because of offense. If you can't score, you can't win. Yeah, man. So, listen, I think in today's NFL, you need to have a complete team. I mean, look at last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, the main reason why they won the Super Bowl last year was a combination of Patrick Mahomes being extremely clutch in the fourth quarter, making the big play when they needed him to, but also that defense was top 3 in the game. Maybe the best defense in football was Spags leading the way. And with Chris Jones and, Trent McDuffie and, that entire unit played so well last year. So you need to have a complete unit to win an NFL championship nowadays. And, I do think that, maybe edge rusher would be a nice need for the Washington Commanders if Jonathan Allen ends up getting traded. Maybe you want to get another interior defender. Johnny Newton's been a little bit of a disappointment, even though I still believe in his talent. Still got Deron Payne. But you can never have too many defensive linemen, man. I definitely don't disagree with that. All right, Cooper, are we ready to go here?
Let's talk some freaking football, man.
All right, let's get it going right now. My Week 16 preview for Commanders versus Eagles. What's up? Week 16. All right, let's get it going right now with my preview of Commanders versus Eagles. The Commanders host the Philadelphia Eagles here in Week 16 in a huge interdivision matchup here where if the Eagles win, they'll be crowned NFC East champions. But if the Commanders can win, they take down the team that many people are calling the best team in football right now. Welcome into the Commanders Report preview. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. And today I got keys to victory. I've got team trends. We'll be breaking down what the Eagles like to do schematically and how the Commanders can beat that heading into this Week 16 matchup. And make sure you guys stick around because I got my official score prediction here for this matchup at the end of today's show. So here we go, guys. We do have a sub-battle this week with our rivals at Eagles Now. And right now, they're currently sitting at 61 new subscribers right now with their channel, okay? And this is just this week, all right? And by the end of the week, whoever has the most subs is going to end up being the winner, all right? Right now, we're down by 8 subscribers, so if you're new to this channel, you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, we are counting on you guys to click that subscribe button to help us beat Eagles Now in our sub-battle this week. Okay, now let's get into the preview here, where the Eagles coming into this game at 12-2, 10 straight wins, including a win against the Commanders in Week 11, coming to Landover at Northwest Stadium to take on the 9-5 Commanders. Washington's won 2 straight games, but against the Titans and Saints, both teams not doing too well right now. So this is really going to be a big litmus test for the Washington Commanders as they continue their march towards the postseason. But before we look forward to this game, let's look backwards to the loss to the Eagles back in Week 11, 26-18. The final, the offense really had a hard time moving the football and really had a hard time getting into the end zone. But then Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and that crew really did a good job in the second half. Barkley, in particular, had 146 yards, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, back-to-back touchdowns from Saquon. And Jalen Hurts didn't play all that well in that game, to be honest with you. The Commanders did a good job corralling that Eagles passing attack, just 12 of 28 for 221 total yards. So at the end of the day here, guys, I do think that Washington, now that they're adding Marshawn Lattimore, has a pretty decent chance of corralling Jalen Hurts in that passing attack. But the big issue is going to be Barkley. All right, and if Philly wins this week, guys, they're going to be NFC East champions. Now, in all likelihood, they're probably going to win the division anyway. I mean, they have a 3-game advantage on the Commanders right now. The Commanders need to win this game, and they need to win out, and the Eagles need to lose out in order to have a shot at the division title. I don't really see it happening, and neither does Chase Sr., the host of our Eagles Now channel, and this is what he had to say to Commanders fans.
Going into the year, I thought the Commanders were going to be much improved with this new regime. They were going to be a feisty team. They've been that this year. I've been very impressed, and the future is finally bright for Washington. That fraud, Dan Snyder, he's out of there. But what happened back a few weeks ago when the Eagles played the Commanders? Washington was a little feisty. They only gave up 3 first-half points. But then Philadelphia scored 20 points in that fourth quarter. Saquon Barkley with 2 touchdowns in 10 seconds, and the Eagles ran away with that game. Washington is not ready for this type of moment and the big stage. If the Eagles win this game, they win the NFC East, and they will win 30-20. Go Birds!
Pretty clear that Senior's feeling pretty good about his team right now, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button again to help us win our sub battle and really stick it to those Eagles Now crew, because these Eagles fans, man, they need to be taken down a peg a little bit here. All right, now let's get into kind of the matchup here. Let's talk about the injuries first, because there's quite a few injuries on both sides of the ball here. Noah Brown is going to be out with that kidney injury this week. Zach Ertz, Jeremy Chinn, and Zane Gonzalez are all questionable heading into the week here. Ertz and Chinn with concussions, and then Zane Gonzalez with a foot issue. Nearly played last week, so I kind of feel like Gonzalez will be able to play, but Ertz and Chinn have new concussions, and so it can be tough to get out of concussion protocol in just 1 week. So I would say Ertz and Chinn are less likely to play on Sunday. Then on the Eagles side of the ball, quite a few starters for them are on IR. Dallas Goedert, a very important tight end for them, is going to be out with a knee injury. Brandon Graham is going to be out once again. He's out for the season with a triceps injury. Bryce Huff is still on IR with a wrist injury. And Landon Dickerson got hurt last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers with a knee issue. He will be questionable heading into the week. And you look at the Eagles' schedule so far this year. First 4 weeks, it didn't look great. All right, like it was a very shaky game against the Packers, but they escape with a win. Then they lose in dramatic fashion to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons in week 2. You barely beat the Saints, and then you get smacked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, but then after that, after they came back from their bye in week 5, this team has been unstoppable. 10 straight wins, and some really quality wins too, man. Like you're beating the Commanders, you're beating the Rams, which looks like a playoff caliber team right now. You're beating the Ravens, you're beating the Steelers. You're beating some pretty good teams there. If you're Philadelphia, and you're beating them pretty handily, beating the Steelers last week by 2 touchdowns at home. And you take a look here at what you're going to be seeing here schematically from the Eagles. Nick Sirianni is the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got a very good career record as the head coach of the Birds. And then his offensive play caller this year, Kellen Moore, has done a really good job this year, man. He really found his groove and really found what Jalen Hurts does well. He really hangs his head on the rushing game as well. They run a modern pro spread offense, lots of shotgun, lots of stuff like that, lots of spread formations. And then they brought in Vic Fangio, the godfather of the quarters and cover 6 kind of style of defense we've seen in this league over the last several years to call the defense. And this defense has been arguably the best in football here over this 10-game stretch where they have gone undefeated. Then we go over their offensive pieces here, and we start on the offensive side of the ball. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. Those are the 4 players that are their dynamic playmakers on this team and that you have to keep your eye on Sunday's matchup. Take a look here at the splits, and you look at the team trends here between the Eagles' offense and the Commanders' defense. Now, obviously, the Eagles, I think that they have the advantage in this matchup, but you also have to take the Commanders' numbers and ranks here with a grain of salt because they just added Marshawn Lattimore, who in my opinion is a true lockdown number 1 corner, and he changes the math here entirely. So you can look at the points per game trends here, and that would predict about 24 points for the Philadelphia Eagles here in Week 16, guys, with the Eagles scoring 26.4 point game, 26.4 per game, and then the Commanders are giving up 22.5 on defense. But again, guys, you have to take the Commanders' number with a grain of salt here because we just don't know how good this defense is now that they've added a true number 1 corner. Then you get to the other side of the ball here with the Commanders' offense versus the Eagles' defense. And, the Eagles' defense is among the best in the league, man. Outside of turnovers, they're top top 5 in all the major categories. They don't give up a lot of yards. They get teams off the field on third down. They don't give up a lot of points in the red zone when teams do get in there, but also the Commanders' offense is very good. All right, but, the last 2 weeks, Tennessee, New Orleans, the offense has gotten going a little bit better, but there's been still some issues, and this is going to be a real test for them as they look ahead to hopefully a postseason run this offseason, or not this offseason, in January. So the points per game trends here, the Commanders are scoring 28.3 points per game. That's actually more than the Eagles, but the Eagles defense is giving up less than the Commanders is right now at 17.6. So he's cross-referenced those. That would predict about 23 points for the Commanders, and if you've been keeping up here with the trends, that would predict a 24-23 win for Philadelphia. But that's within the margin of error, guys. The trends certainly predict right now, based on what these teams have done this year, that this is certainly a game that could be a toss-up here. And now that you add Marshawn Lattimore into the mix, you might even tip the scales a little bit in the favor of the Washington Commanders. So still to come here on the Washington Commanders report and our preview this week. I've got my keys to victory versus the Eagles. I'm going to tell you how this team should go about their business on Sunday to collect a victory. Then I'll tell you how to stop Jalen Hurts and kind of like his bugaboo and his kind of, way that you beat him, plain and simply, guys. And the Commanders did a very good job of this, by the way, in Week 11. But then I'll get into my Week 16 score prediction as well. I'll let you know whether I think the Commanders can pull off this upset and send a major message to the National Football League here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today to get what's the promotion here, Coop? It is it's $50.
A $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup.
$50 bonus when you put in your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action this football season. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You guys can take a look at one of the projections that we have here on PrizePicks. It's more than just football, guys. You can also do basketball. We took the more on points for Nikola Jokic.
They give you a free pick.
And they give you pretty much a free pick there on Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas to you. Taking the more on pass yards for Josh Allen as well. So the way it works, guys, if you get both of those right, you win and you know ball, and you can make some money with our friends at PrizePicks today. So again, guys, you download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup with our friends at PrizePicks today. Again, guys, let's download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS. It's right down there in the bottom right of your screen for $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup.
You don't even need to win to receive.
You don't even need to win the projection to get the $50. It's that great, guys. So give yourself a little treat for Christmas here. PrizePicks, run your game. Some keys to victory here for the Washington Commanders to beat the Eagles. Got 4 of them for you guys this week. First one is to take away Jalen Hurts' first read, because Jalen is very, very good on that first read. He's one of the best in football. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the National Football League. And you take a look at my scouting report from him, is that he's a plus rusher. So if he gets outside the pocket, he's a very strong rusher as well. So if you get into 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, 3rd and goal at the 1 or 2, he's going to be able to punch it in with that tush push, all right? So you got to keep this team out of 3rd and short situations, but the playmaking is excellent with his arm as well. If he gets outside the pocket, he can certainly throw on the run. Throws with great touch, great accuracy, especially down the field, and he's really good on that first read. But the pocket presence is not good if you take away that first read. He wants to leave the pocket, and he doesn't throw over the middle of the field all that well either. So the way that you beat Jalen Hurts, guys, is you take away that first read. It's usually A.J. Brown and sometimes Devontae Smith, but it's usually A.J. Brown. You take away him, and then you don't let him escape the pocket, you are going to have success against Jalen Hurts. Because if you force him to stay in the pocket and go through a 2, 3, 4 progression read across the field, he is going to panic. He's going to take sacks, and he's going to put the ball in harm's way, all right? So that's the way you got to beat him. The Commanders did a really good job of executing that plan back in Week 11 on Thursday Night Football, which is why you only had 12 completions. And the way that you can kind of force him to play the game the way that he doesn't want to play it, guys, is you send a lot of blitzes, all right? So 5+ guys attacking the quarterback, taking away escape lanes for Jalen Hurts, and then also you got to mix up man and zone looks. If he knows that you're in man or if he knows that you're in zone, he can pick you apart. So you got to keep him guessing. You got to disguise stuff. And like I said, guys, I think the Commanders did a really good job of that back in Week 11. And now, instead of having Benjamin St. Toast out there, you got Marshawn Lattimore out there on Mr. A.J. Brown, all right? And that's somebody that you can put in press man coverage against A.J., and he can be physical with him. He's got experience playing against A.J. Brown. So I'm looking at the matchups this week, guys. I think the Commanders match up very well. I think Marshawn Lattimore, his physicality and press coverage matches up very well with the physicality of A.J. Brown. And I think Samerstill has been really good in coverage this year. And with his lack of size, it's perfect going up against the shifty, kind of smaller Devontae Smith. So I think Washington's secondary is kind of built to beat this Philadelphia passing attack. And I think, once again, Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. is going to do a pretty decent job at limiting Philadelphia's output offensively, at least in terms of the passing game. But we all know that this team here in Philly, they rely on Saquon Barkley and that run game, particularly in the fourth quarter, to put teams away. So you can't run out of gas in the fourth quarter. This is why the Commanders lost on Thursday Night Football back in Week 11, is because they were just coming off a physical game against the Steelers on a short week, and they just didn't have enough gas to finish the game defensively in the fourth quarter, and Saquon completely killed them in that final period. In this game, guys, you got to really do a good job at limiting Saquon's output in the second half, so you got to rotate guys in. You've got to really put that extra guy in the box to limit him all game long, and we all know Barkley is at his best in the fourth quarter, so you really have to hone in on that when you get to the final frame. And the way that you do that is you got to have a good, healthy rotation up front. Get Johnny Newton out there quite a bit. You got to put Sheldon Day out there quite a bit. You got to have a rotation at edge as well as inside backer. You got to really rotate these guys so they stay fresh throughout the football game. And then you got to keep Philly away from third and short. You want to keep them in third and long situations, and then you got to get them off the field. All right, you have to win the time of possession battle in this game. And I think that the Commanders, their focus needs to be on shortening this game. Plain and simply, guys, and that is more of an offensive key to victory here, because the Commanders need to do a good job, like they did last week, of controlling the clock. They had the ball for more than double the amount of time that New Orleans had the ball last week in the Superdome. They need to have a similar type of game plan this week, where you're running the football, you're converting on third downs, you have to run the ball effectively, especially Brian Robinson Jr. For me, I want to see Chris Rodriguez Jr. get going a little bit more this week, and then you got to do a good job converting on those third downs, just like Jaden Daniels did against the Saints back in Week 15. Then if you do everything right here, you limit Hurts, you limit Saquon, you do a good job staying fresh throughout the game, and you really win the time of possession battle, and the game is close in the fourth quarter, you got to make the play. All right, whether that's a game-winning drive from Jaden Daniels, whether that's a huge strip sack from Frankie Louvu in the fourth quarter, whether that's a special teams play like a muff punt, you got to make the play late to turn the tables and really turn the tide, and then you got to put them away late. It's a very difficult team to go up against, and because of that, I will take the Eagles in a close game in this one. The trends say 24-23. That's what I kind of feel like is going to happen here, but I want to make abundantly clear here, guys, I have no idea who's going to come out of this game. I don't have a clear favorite in this one whatsoever. I'm going to ride the hot hand here with Philly just as an objective person here, and I know how Philly can really kill a team in the fourth quarter, but Washington, I think, matches up very well with Philadelphia. They will be home. I think the Eagles are really smelling their own farts a little bit right now, and they're going to be on the road. They're going to be feeling really good after killing the Commanders in the fourth quarter in their first matchup. I could absolutely see the Washington Commanders pulling off the upset, and as the week goes on, by Sunday, I might even change my prediction here, and I might even go with Washington to win this football game because I really like the way they match up. So predict the score for me down there in the comments section. Commanders versus Eagles in Week 16. Right now, I'm feeling like 24-23, close game, Eagles win, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And, of course, we're going to be going live for this game right here on the Commanders Report, an hour-long pregame show, followed by instant reaction and live play-by-play throughout the game, and then we got extensive post-game coverage as well. So if you want to join us for this game, we're going to be giving away a Jaden Daniels jersey as well in a raffle. That starts at 12 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for every single watch party that we have for the rest of the 2024 season. All right, Coop. So we have the mailbag coming up here. And, the more I think about it, Coop, the more I think the Commanders are going to pull off the upset. But, it just I guess, the wall that I can't get over is the Commanders beat the Saints, a terrible football team, by, the skin of their teeth.
On the last play of the game.
On the last play of the game, I guess they killed Tennessee, but they're a complete dumpster fire right now. Before that, they were really struggling. I think if it might just be a mental block here. On paper, I think the Commanders actually match up pretty well, and I think that they'll have a shot.
I think what I just saw last week with the Eagles against the Steelers, that final drive where they took the last 10 minutes of the game starting on their own 2-yard line and they ended it taking a knee in victory formation. That's just kind of what this Eagles team can do, and I feel like they will be able to impose their will on this Commanders team late in the fourth quarter. I think the Commanders, if they get out to an early lead and they force Hurts to throw, they absolutely have a chance to win this game.
Yeah, and last game they did a really good job on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Hurts had a really rough game.
He was average
the
at best.
And Hurts has played really good football as of late, but you're adding Marshawn Lattimore into the mix here. And I think that he's going to do a good job on A.J. Brown. So,
I think the Commanders can't make the same mistake that the Steelers did when they didn't have Joey Porter Jr. shadowing A.J. Brown. Marshawn Lattimore should be traveling with A.J. Brown.
Yeah, and I think Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. are smart enough to figure that out. If you're putting Mike Sainristil on freaking A.J. Brown,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work out. You need to have a bigger body on A.J. Brown at all times, in my opinion.
Now, do you think that Mikey staying outside is going to be a long-term thing, or is that just for this year?
What's that?
Do you think Sainristil staying outside is going to be a long-term thing?
It's a really good question because they drafted him to be more of a nickel.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if you guys saw this, but they released video of, inside the war room when they were drafting the players. And, Quinn was like, man, we're getting the best slot defender in the draft.
And they're not using him
and
in
now
the
they're
slot.
not using him in the slot because they don't have enough outside cornerback talent. So
Shout out to Emmanuel Forbes.
Shout out to Emmanuel Forbes, who was a huge disappointment. But Sainristil's played really well on the outside. I really do think that. So I would be fine if they decided to keep him out there. Art by Rapids is why you picked the Eagles gang. We're healthy. We are relatively healthy. You might not have Ertz. You might not have Jeremy Chin. You don't have Austin Eckler. So I wouldn't necessarily say the Commanders are super healthy. You obviously don't have Jonathan Allen still, who's out for the season.
More kicker problems?
Kicker problems with the injuries. Seibert's on IR. Gonzalez has a foot issue. I mean, Joseph played pretty decently last week. I believe it was 2 for 3 from field goals last week against New Orleans. But, the reason why I'm picking the Eagles, at least for now, and by the way, that could certainly change. And the more I think about it, the more I want to go with the Commanders. It's just, with how red hot the Eagles are and the fact that they put away teams in the fourth quarter and the way that the Commanders have not finished games, they could not put away the New Orleans Saints. Last week, and they're not a good team. I mean, you had Jake Hayner playing half of that game. It should have been a blowout, and it came down to the last play. So,
I think the Commanders are the best team in football the Eagles are the best team in football right now.
I think the Eagles are showing to be the best team in the game right now. They're suffocating teams, and the fact that I'm saying the Commanders have a legit chance to beat them, I think that tells you just how highly I feel about the Commanders right now.
Absolutely.
I think that they match up very well on defense. I think that Jaden Daniels has been playing a lot better the last 2 weeks. I think he's got some confidence. They're going to be at home. And I think the Eagles, like I said, guys, I think they are smelling their farts a little bit now, where it's like, oh, yeah, we've won 10 straight. Oh, yeah, we've beat this cruddy Commanders team before. We can do it again. This certainly seems like almost like a trap game for them, where they feel like they can come into to this building here in Northwest Stadium and come away with a dominant victory, and I just don't think it's going to be as easy for them.
There'd be nothing I'd like more than to shut Nick Sirianni up. I can't stand that fraud, dude.
Yeah, I hate Nick Sirianni with a passion.
He talks shit to the crowd for no reason.
That was crazy when he was talking shit to his own fans when they won. I think it was in week 5, wasn't it? Off of their bye.
It's unbelievable.
He is just a character, man. Do we have enough questions?
Yeah, I think we're good. We got a couple super chats, got some questions as well, so
perfect.
Let's get it.
Let's get into the mailbag right now, guys. Can't wait to see what questions you got for me. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome into the Commanders Report mailbag here in Week 16. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and I love these segments every single week, guys, because I get to answer your questions, and you get to tell me what you want me to talk about. Usually I'm just guessing what you want me to talk about here on the show. But today, you get to ask me direct questions, and I love interacting with you guys and making you a part of this channel. So if you guys want to get your questions on every single Commanders Report mailbag, all you have to do is watch our live shows. We usually go live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, where you guys get the opportunity to get your questions on the show for free. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. Join us every Wednesday for our live shows here on the Commanders Report. First one coming in from Ted Lucas with a $5 super chat says, I believe the Commanders will win versus the Eagles. These are the type of games that we have won in the past when no one gives us a chance. I'll say this, Ted. I think the Commanders have a hell of a chance. All right now the trends would predict that the Commanders are within the margin of error, and which is 3 points, by the way. The trends, I believe, predict 24-23, and the margin of error is 3 points. Okay, so the Commanders are definitely within that margin of error right now. They're home. They've got a lot of things that are going in their favor here. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are feeling really good about themselves after double-digit straight wins. They're coming off a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Teams do not have a good record after games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I like the Commanders' chances to potentially upset the Eagles, but they're going to have to take advantage of their opportunities better than they did against the teams like the Saints, against teams like the Cowboys. Like the Commanders are going to have to grow up a little bit in this game to pull off the upset, but it's definitely possible. Then we got one from the Rizzler who says, do you think Jaden Daniels will win an NFL MVP within the first 3 years of his NFL career? So you can take away his rookie season because he's not going to win it this year. The next 2 seasons, I absolutely think it's within the realm of possibility, especially if they put another receiver on the other side of Terry McLaurin opposite. Like if they can get like a Luther Burden, or if they can get a T. Higgins, if they can get a big-time playmaker on the other side of Scary Terry, and if Ben Sinnott becomes the player that I think he could be at tight end, oh boy, man, this is going to be an awesome offense, and Jaden Daniels is going to be leading the way. So you know what, man? I'm going to say yes. I think Jaden Daniels is more than capable of winning an NFL MVP in the first 3 years of his career. And I think within the first 3 years of his career here, we're going to be talking about him as a bona fide top 5 talent in this league today. So let me know down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. Will Jaden Daniels win an MVP by the end of his 3rd season in the National Football League? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Going from my man Kenny Lewis says, do you think we spend higher capital on cornerback, edge, or wide receiver next year? I don't think cornerback, because I think that they feel pretty good about Lattimore and Samerstrill. All right, so if they spend money on a corner, I think it might be more of a slot guy. They might bring in a guy via the draft to keep the youth kind of movement there. I would like to see them spend some money at edge. I really would. Dorrance Armstrong has been a little bit of a disappointment this season. I like Dante Fowler Jr. I hope they keep him around. And obviously you got help with Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu that have done a great job this year helping with blitzing. But I think a number 1 edge rusher would have been great. I advocated for this team to go get Danielle Hunter. They didn't do that last year. I think he would have been a huge help to this team if they would have splurged on him. But wide receiver's another one. If you can get a T. Higgins, I'm willing to pony up the dough there. Like I said, guys, if you give Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and another dynamic threat on the outside, it's going to be game over for the rest of the league, plain and simply. Got 9 lives here. Just going into the offseason next year. Who are the top potential free agents you would target? So, this one's a tough one, 9 lives, because T. Higgins is obviously the name that gets brought up a lot in terms of the wide receivers. Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper are other names that are going to be hitting the market as well. I'm actually not sure who's going to be the edge rusher free agents next year. Haven't really dove into those free agents just yet. We're in the middle of the season right here, 9 lives. I'm worried about this Commanders team hopefully winning a postseason game this year. But we're definitely going to have a bunch of free agency content here on the channel, and also offensive linemen. If you can get us quality veteran offensive linemen, whether it be at tackle or interior offensive line, I'm going to be on board with that. This offensive line needs an overhaul once again, and I think that a nice little veteran there would certainly help out that group as well. Okay, before we get into the rest of the questions here today, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time. And Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. And what that means is when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. Plus, if you're looking for a last-minute gift for somebody in your life that you haven't gotten a present for, a ticket to a live event would certainly be pretty awesome, especially if it's a Commanders game, because you still got 2 more Commanders games, guys. You still got the Eagles game at Northwest Stadium, and of course, you got got Sunday Night Football now versus the Atlanta Falcons next week. So if you guys want to get tickets to either one of those games, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do is select the Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen when you click into an event, and it automatically filters through their entire database of tickets for that event to find you the best tickets with the best prices and the best views for you and your family to get the best deals on whatever ticket you get for any event. And what I love about using the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Going from JG says, what are the reasons for our fourth quarter collapses? A short week only explains one. Absolutely, JG. And, you look at kind of, I don't know how many fourth quarter collapses has this team had? I think that they've missed opportunities in all four quarters this year, if I'm being honest with you. But, that fourth quarter collapse against the Saints was pretty embarrassing. You almost lost the damn game because of it. And on offense, it was because Jaden was taking some sacks, there was some penalties, and they were staying behind the sticks. And you were constantly in third and forever, and you had to punt the ball back to the Saints instead of having a legitimate chance to pick up first down. So you need to be able to not be penalized in the fourth quarter. You need to be able to not take negative plays like sacks in those moments. And you got to stay ahead of the sticks, and you have to be able to pick up third downs when you need to. Just last week, just look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They went on a 10.5-minute drive to close out the Pittsburgh Steelers in the fourth quarter because they continuously didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They picked up third downs when they were in third down, and they stayed ahead of the sticks. And because of that, they were able to completely choke out the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, the Commanders have not done a great job of that situational type of football this year, and that's the kind of thing that you need to be really good at if you want to be a Super Bowl caliber team. Then we got on from Eli Hokies fan here. Says the offensive linemen need some upgrades. Are they going to sign a guard? Yeah, I hope so, man. I really hope that they bring in. I like Tyler Biadasz and I like Sam Cosmi, but Allegretti has been fine, but he's definitely not an impact player. All right, let's put it that way. Once Tyler Biadasz was out last week with that illness, Allegretti completely just shut down. He was awful. He gave up 2 sacks last week. It just wasn't a good game for Allegretti. So I think that Allegretti's a pretty decent backup, and you bring him in, you can trust him a little bit, but is he really a true quality starter? I don't know. I would love to get somebody to play left guard. Heck, it might even be Brandon Coleman next year. I think Brandon looks more like a guard than a tackle, in my opinion. And I've said that ever since he was drafted. So if you can get a really good left tackle in the draft next year in the first round, that's something I would be in favor of. Maybe sign a right tackle. And then move Coleman to left guard. That would certainly fix a lot of your problems on this offensive line. Then we got one from Buckeyes in 5 who says, will Terry McLaurin get another contract extension this offseason? He's certainly trending towards it, man. I would be surprised, or at least I would be very disappointed if he doesn't make an all-pro team this year. He has been on an absolute tear as of late. That catch he made against the Saints was unfreaking believable. He's been getting open. He's been getting open deep. He's been making plays after the catch. He's been making great catches at the catch point. This guy is a legit number 1 receiver and probably a top 10 receiver in the game right now. I think Commanders fans have known this for a long time, but I think the rest of the NFL world is just starting to pick that up because it's Jaden Daniels throwing him the football and not Carson Wentz, Sam Howell, or somebody else. So I love Terry. He is getting older, so it'll be interesting to see if they give him that extension, but I would certainly be on board. Be the GM for me down there in the comments section. Would you give Scary Terry a contract extension this offseason? He's probably going to be asking for one, so if you don't give him one, you run the risk of him demanding a trade out of here. So type E if you would extend him, or type P if you would pass. Then we got one from Joanne Alston, who says, if Luther Burden III is gone in the draft, what do you think about Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State? Heck, man, get the Buckeye boys together. Terry McLaurin, Emeka Egbuka, I would like that fit too. Absolutely. And if you can plug up the offensive line, if you can sign a number 1 edge rusher in free agency, and if you can maybe get a decent slot corner or maybe an outside corner to pair with Lattimore and Samerstill in the cornerback room, and you really feel like you're good at other places heading into the draft, I think that getting a guy like Emeka Egbuka would be a great move for the Washington Commanders. There's a lot of really good receivers in this draft class. Once again, it's not as good as last year's class or the year before that, but it's a pretty good class. There's always a lot of really talented receivers that come out every single year. So I would be on board with a wide receiver as long as some of the more foundational units are taken care of first in free agency. Then we got one from Eugene. Says, do you agree that Jaden Daniels doesn't have the weapons other rookie quarterbacks have and is doing better? So I'll say this. I think that, he has thrived with a worse offensive line than other rookies. All right, now Caleb Williams in Chicago has dealt with probably the worst offensive line situation, and you see how his season's going. Jaden has played way better than him. But you look at Bo Nix, and Bo Nix has had the best offensive line, arguably in football, in terms of pass protection this year, so that's why you're seeing him have the numbers that he's putting up this year. Jaden has had to deal with probably a below-average offensive line all year. Honestly, he's made this offensive line look better than they are with him avoiding pressure, picking up first downs with his legs, getting the ball out fast. I think that Jaden Daniels has elevated his offensive line, whereas guys like Bo Nix have been elevated by his offensive line. So I love what Jaden Daniels has done this year, man. He's the bona fide rookie of the year. It's not even close in my opinion. Give the damn trophy to JD. Make sure you like the video if you haven't already, guys. If you want to beat the Eagles this weekend, it's a big game. I think the Commanders have a chance to upset what many people are considering the #1 team in the National Football League right now. So if you want to pull off this upset here and you want to keep our hopes for the NFC East title alive, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now. Then we got one from Quan Din here. It says, which team are the Commanders the most likely to face in the playoffs, and do you think they can beat that team? So if I'd have to say most likely, I would say they're probably the 7 seed. And then, so that means they play the 2. That's looking like Minnesota. And Minnesota on the road in, it's going to be tough, man. You do have the Lions currently sitting at the #1 seed, but they have all those injuries. I feel like they might lose a game or 2 here, and Minnesota might usurp them. Kind of feel like Minnesota and Philly are going to be the top 2 seeds. So you might even play Philly in the playoffs. And honestly, I think I'd rather play the Eagles in the playoffs than the Minnesota Vikings, man. Sam Darnold has had a really good season under Kevin O'Connell, who is, in my opinion, the coach of the year in the National Football League this year. And then the defense led by Brian Flores is absolutely lights out as well. Jaden Daniels has never played a defense like Brian Flores is. It's really unique, and it's very difficult to go up against. I mean, he has guys like, veteran quarterbacks like Jared Goff saying that it's like reading Chinese out there. It's so crazy. I definitely wouldn't love Jaden Daniels in his first playoff action to go up against Minnesota. So I'm actually kind of hoping they play the Eagles if they do, in fact, get that 7 seed, because I think they actually match up better with the Eagles, and of course they're more familiar with the talent on that roster. Then we got on from Eli Hokies fan here. Says, can the Commanders draft a better kicker, receivers, or offensive line for 2025 draft? Yes, man, all of the above. We need to get younger on the offensive line. We need to get better on the offensive line. Receivers, you can never have too many receivers, right? And this is certainly a team that needs more receivers. And then kicker, if there's a particularly great kicker, I know the Commanders have a lot of draft picks next year, so if they take care of a lot of their position groups in free agency and you have an opportunity to take a generational type kicker, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it on day 3. But all those positions are certainly ones I could see this team targeting in the NFL draft. Then we've got I'm a Cool Guy 09 says, what do you think are the Commanders' chances against the Eagles? I think they're pretty decent. All right, I think I'm going to pick the Eagles to win just because they do such a good job at closing teams out in the fourth quarter. The Commanders do not. And then also the Eagles have won 10 straight. Just plain simply, guys, all right? But the trends would show you 24-23 Eagles, and that's not even accounting for most of the season not having Marshawn Lattimore, who I think can shut down A.J. Brown. So I do think the Commanders at home have I would say a 42 to 45% chance maybe of beating the Eagles. I don't think it's that crazy lopsided affair that the Eagles are going to definitely win this game. Jaden Daniels and this team can make the plays in the fourth quarter. I think they can pull off the upset against the Eagles. So let me know down there in the comments section, what's the percent chance Washington wins a playoff game this year? Put it on a scale of 0 to 100. First-year playoff quarterbacks usually don't win playoff games, guys, so I'll probably put this at around 15 to 20%. You're going to be playing a really, really good team on the road as most likely a wild card. So I'll put it at 15 to 20%, but let me know down there in the comment section what you guys say. That'll be the end of this week's mailbag. Lots of great questions. This is one of the better mailbags I've done in a long time, guys. So thank you to everybody for putting in really smart, really educated questions in there. I appreciate all of your guys' support, guys. Click that subscribe button. And until next time, hail to the Commanders. All right, great questions this week, guys. This is one of the best mailbags I've ever been a part of here at Chat Sports.
Absolutely.
There, Mr. Coop. If anybody wants us to spin the wheel for the naughty or nice list, let's put a 3-minute shot clock on here, Coop.
We can do that.
Anyone wants to put in a $5 super chat to spin the naughty or nice wheel, we'll do that. And if you get in the nice list, you get a free raffle entry for the Jaden Daniels jersey raffle on Sunday on our watch party.
Who doesn't want a free Jaden Daniels jersey?
I do.
I do as well.
Oh, man. So, Coop, we actually have a bet going on right now. So as this clock continues to tick, so Coop's a Cowboys fan. For anyone that doesn't know, born and raised in the DFW area here in Texas, and we had a bet the other week. So the Cowboys had a 4-game stretch. I think it was against Tennessee. Was it Tennessee?
Yes.
First game was Tennessee. Then they had the Bengals.
Yep.
Then they had the Panthers.
Yep.
Then they had the Buccaneers.
Yep.
He said they might win all 4 of those games. So I said they will not win 3 of those games. So he said, I will bet you that they win at least 3 of those 4 games.
That is what happened.
So we took the bet. And right now, he would have already won the bet if there wasn't that debacle on the punt on Monday Night Football against the Bengals.
The Cowboys cowboyed. What can I say?
What can go wrong will go wrong with that joke of a team.
Here's the thing about the Cowboys. I understand that they're an absolute joke of a franchise, and they're probably one of the most fraudulent franchises in the NFL right now.
I will give Coop credit for that. He's a Cowboys fan, but he's a self-aware Cowboys fan.
They haven't made the conference championship since I was in my mother's stomach in 1996.
And Cowboys fans strut around like they are like the best franchise in football.
They are the most popular franchise in football. They are not the best franchise in football. Until Jerry Jones I won't even go that far. Until Jerry Jones steps aside in his role as owner/GM of the Dallas Cowboys.
Into the grave.
You said it, not me. They will never do anything.
My goodness, man. Well, this week it's all or nothing.
Yes.
And it's going up against Baker Mayfield and that Tampa Bay offense that just put up 40 points on a good Chargers defense.
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons is going to be in Baker Mayfield's lap all afternoon. Pause.
We can only hope. I'm actually very excited about this game, though. I think that this is going to be one of the better games of the weekend. You have Steelers, Ravens, and I think this game is probably second.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a good one on Saturday for sure, Steelers, Ravens. But then this game is also a game where a team can lock up the division. If the Eagles win, they win the division. And they're probably going to win the division anyway. The Commanders need to win out, and the Eagles need to lose out.
Inevitable.
It's just probably inevitable at this point. But the Commanders don't want to lose the division and see the Eagles put on that T-shirt and that ball cap on their field.
Your home stadium.
You don't let it happen on your field.
And if it does happen, please don't do an Ohio State and have a complete meltdown.
Exactly. So I'm looking at Washington, and I think they match up very well.
They do.
I pause at picking them to win against a team that has won 10 straight and closes games out the way Philly does.
I was surprised.
But I think it's going to be close.
I was surprised that the trends predicted a 1-point win for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's because the Commanders score so much.
Their offense
because their offense and the trends this year have been so high. They've had multiple 30-plus point performances where it's really carrying.
I hope you guys watched Sam Howell on Monday Night Football the other night, though.
You know what, man? I know this fan base doesn't like Eric Bieniemy, and I understand why. Like, the offense was not good last year. But
he clearly did not have much to work with.
We saw Sam Howell play on Sunday Night Football against the Packers, which, by the way, is just an average defense.
Yeah.
The Packers aren't anything special defensively.
Was terrible.
He was awful. And remember, Jacoby Brissett, who we've learned this year is not a very good quarterback, came in Bieniemy's system and balled out. I don't know, man. I feel like Bieniemy deserves another chance in the NFL. I know he flamed out with UCLA this year, and I know his coaching style.
Different circumstance because, his coaching style just doesn't work in college. It wouldn't shock me if he got an NFL OC job.
It's hard to blame the guy when his quarterback was fucking Sam Howell.
Now,
that's all I'll say.
Could you see Bieniemy going to North Carolina?
Maybe
under Belichick.
I'll say he would look good in the powder blues. I'm not gonna lie, but Bieniemy is come and gone. He's the past. Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels, and Dan Quinn are the future here in Washington, and man, I am excited for this football team.
Do you think Cliff is going to get some head coaching looks?
I think he will get some interviews. I don't think he gets hired.
Okay.
I think the only team that would consider hiring him is Chicago.
Yeah, with the Caleb connection.
Yeah, and I think that their number one choice,
Ben Johnson,
yeah. And I think their number two choice might be Mike Vrabel.
You think even they might go defense if it's Vrabel?
Maybe. But
I could see it.
But here's also the thing that's rolling around out there. Vrabel to Ohio State is there is some smoke.
If Ryan Day gets fired?
If Ryan Day gets fired, there is some smoke for Mike Vrabel, who, by the way, should get an NFL head coaching job this year. Like, what is up with these NFL coaches going to the college game?
He wants to go back to his home, man. He wants to go to his home. Would you take Ryan Day as the next offensive coordinator of the company? I can't even say it with a straight face.
Well, we did an offensive coordinator candidates video. I put Ryan Day in our video because if Cliff leaves, Ryan Day runs, say what you will about pretty similar offense. Say what you will about Ryan Day as a leader and as a head coach.
Runs a good offense.
As a coordinator, he can run an offense that Jaden Daniels would be very comfortable in.
We know ball.
All right, guys, we didn't get any super chats. That's all right, but we're going to be live on Sunday. All right, it's going to be me and Joey. Joey will be back. We'll be
Trader Joey.
Not Trader Joey on this channel, but earlier in the office, we were calling him Blowy Peterson. So things were getting kind of nuts here at Chat Sports Studios.
He's a big DMV guy. He also hosts the Ravens.
Yes, he is.
He loves the Commanders.
He loves the Commanders. He loves the Ravens. NFC, AFC teams.
Yep.
In that area. So we're going to be going live on Sunday. Me and Joey. We'll be live at 12 p.m. Eastern on Sunday for this football game right here, Commanders versus Eagles. I think the Commanders are going to have a chance to win.
They have a chance to win.
The more I think about this game, the more I'm leaning Washington. But also I understand why the Eagles are favored in this game by quite a bit. So we'll see you guys on Sunday. We got more videos coming out later this week, so don't go anywhere and turn on those subscribe buttons. Turn on those notifications, all that great stuff. We'll see you guys later. Until next time, hail to the Commanders.
Adios.